Hello guys, today we're going to be speaking about surveillance. Let me go ahead and state my claim, which is there should be additional restrictions on surveillance by American intelligence agencies. And how are we going to do that? By providing the agencies with better checks and balances. What is checks and balances? To keep them in check, to keep them regulated, to set these restrictions for we can have a codependent nation, if you may, to support each other while also having our private lives. Before getting into any of my claims, let's go ahead and observe the basis of the issue. The basis of the issue is that us as a society, we want to regain peace of mind and civil liberties. According to Richard Nile, a Harvard law reviewer, states that first, surveillance is harmful because it can chill the exercise of civil liberties. With respect to civil liberties, consider surveillance of people when they are thinking, reading, and commenting on others in order to make up their minds about politic and social issues. Such intellectual surveillance is especially dangerous because it can cause people not to experiment with new, controversial, or deviant ideas. To protect our intelligence, freedom to think, without the state overseeing or interfering, we need what I have elsewhere called intelligence privacy. It is necessary for the government to refrain. What this means is that it is necessary for the government to refrain of controlling all space of society in search of national security. Because if we all think the same, we're not going to be able to form the greater nation. We're not going to be able to discuss our issues, our social issues, to form how our amendments were formed. Our amendments were formed on basically disagreements. How do we fix disagreements? We speak about it. However, if we're going to be surveilled, we're not going to continue to speak about it because they want us to think a certain way. They want us to think that everything's going to be fine if you think like your neighbor. However, if we want to make this nation great, if we want to stay safe, we have to be allowed to think as an individual. We can't just refrain from having any type of idea because we are afraid that the government is going to look upon us and they're going to show us to our house with or without a warrant and take us just because we're different, just because we're thinking in a different way. But now stated that, let's go ahead and jump to my first significant claim, which states there is a lack of checks and balances on the American intelligence agencies. Although legal acts have been passed by the government to enable agencies with mass private information, it does not stop them from being unconstitutional. According to the article, Does the NSA Mass Surveillance Program Violate Privacy Due to Process? States that the NSA Mass Surveillance Program is a violation of privacy because according to the Fourth Amendment, all United States citizens are protected from the government intruding into their private lives. To search into anything, the government needs a probable reason to warrant a search. A mass surveillance system that allows the government and NSA to look into private lives of our citizens who have not committed any crimes is an invasion of privacy and against our amendment rights. When my rights of privacy are taken away, that's when I no longer feel safe. What this means that the FSIA, the FISA, is building up courts, building up laws, building up other legal matter that is going to enable all these companies with information. This is unconstitutional because, again, we go back to the civil liberties. The amendments were built upon disagreement. However, they're not validating that disagreement. They're not going and they're not explaining what it is that we need to do. So they just build up laws to enable them with the information and categorize us in each section. Let's go ahead and move on to the next point. Federal security letters allow the agencies to bypass approval. According to Ashley Goski, author of the article, How the NSA Mass Intelligence Spying Poisons Society, states that inside the United States, the NSA conducts upstream surveillance under purpose authority of FISA Amendment of Act of 2008, an act with significant constitutional flaws. In case the act says the NSA can engage in certain warrant surveillance of Americans who communicate with target aborts. It also says the NSA can target nearly any foreign without suspicion of wrongdoing if without judicial review. It is considered a major violation to privacy when the rights that this nation was built upon are being defeated because they don't trust you, because they're not going to do this. The checks and balances that we set up in this claim are going to fix that. They're going to maintain national security at its maximum level. However, it's going to provide us with enough social liberty to be independent, to make our own choices, to live in the nation that we want. Let's go ahead and move on to my heresy claim, which is American agencies should be restricted on the amount of metadata collected. Information is being collected that should be on a case by case. According to the article, Government Surveillance Cons states that it is also a misconception to believe that the government has adequate checks and balances in place to prevent the NSA from abusing its power. As stated earlier, the FISA court has created around the same time as the President's surveillance program in order to overcase the action of the NSA. Each time that data has to be collected, the agencies was required to make it a case onto the court in order to have action approved. Intelligencies, this occurred 1,789 times in 2012. And all of those cases were approved. What this means is that they do not care about your social liberties, they do not care about your amendments that were built on the disagreements and the fights that we all went through to cause it. They don't care that. That's why they set up these bills and laws and threw away the checks and balances to have us surveil and to get rid of our social liberties. And that's it for now. Just wait.